Today I'm going to share some results I have on hard waxing a grinded parquet floor. And I'm not affiliated in any way with this company making this OSMO oil, but I want to share this with you because it is actually fascinating good results that you get with it. So this is the result of sanding down the parquet floor. It actually took quite some time. Here you can see what it was like before. It was hard coated before with the type of hard coat they used in the 80s. That particular part looks pretty good because it was under the fridge, but the rest of it looked terrible. And the section over here is where I've gone over it with the grinder, the sanding machine. It actually takes some time to get it down to the bottom of the actual wooden oak, and once you're down at the real oak, then you will find out that the dust that comes out off is brown instead of white, because the first dust from this particular coating, which is plastic, is white. So that's a good indicator on when you're done with the grinding procedure or the sanding procedure. So the entire floor looks like this now. I've kept the part under the fridge, which I will do later on. But you can see here it comes out. Try to hold this a little bit more steady. Gone over the floor here everywhere. But it's actually clean and nice wood now all over. You have to be a little bit careful at this stage to spill any water on it, because it absorbs water immensely fast. And the first part of the grinding was the most difficult part. That required me to use the oscillating grinder. This is a Makita BO6040, I think, and I attached my vacuum cleaner to that one because it gives off an enormous amount of dust when you do this. And even if I had maximum suction on the vacuum cleaner, this first dust that comes off on the top coat when you sand it down, that is everywhere. The thicker dust that comes off from the wood, the brown one that you would have when you come down to the oak, that's not as bad. It doesn't generate as much airborne dust particles. So as a sanding paper on the oscillating grinder, I use this 40 grit paper. It may appear as quite rough, but you need it if you have an epoxy based lacquer on top of your parquet floor. You can actually go up to 25 instead of 40, and that might make it work a little bit faster for you. The approximate time required to do like these 4 square meters that you see here was about 3 hours of work. Then I started with this rough one until I got down to the wood, and once I was down at the wood, then I finished off with a 80 grit paper. I think this is an 80 grit paper. No, it's a 120 grit paper. And that's actually what OSMO, the oil company, this hard wax company, recommends, because you don't want to go any finer, because you want the oil or the hard wax to be able to penetrate into the wood that you coat. Okay, applying the OSMO oil is actually very simple. I got this one from Germany. It was shipped as this in this metal container, and I've done this a couple of times, ordering them from Germany, and they always come in perfect condition. And this is what it looks like inside. It's like a gooey paste. And this is a mixture of wax and oil. And supposedly the oil, which is a little bit thinner, is allowed to penetrate into the wood, and then the wax comes up as a protection on the top surface, and it doesn't penetrate as much because it's a little bit longer molecule, so it stays on the top surface, and the wax by itself is what makes the material or your wooden floor resistant to water stains once this is dried up. take this one, I'll put that one aside, and then I have two chopsticks here. And I just mix it. And now this has been shipped, so it's been rolling around in the DHL parcel service a lot, so it's actually very finely mixed already from the beginning. You can probably use any type of brush to get this on. Some instructions tell you should use a sponge. I did a bigger floor before, so I purchased a special brush from this OSMO company. See where I have it. It's over here, and it looks like this. It's actually very, very dense, and it gives a very fine. It doesn't give much strikes anyway, where left on the floor once you applied it. You just need a little bit though. So I'm just going to dip this down, and I'm starting the coring here, and I will show you how it looks. It's not like a paint that flows everywhere. It's something you strike it out like this, and you can see now how the color changes. What you should think about before you start this procedure is that you vacuum up all the dust, because you don't want the dust in the coat. So this is the result of doing half of the floor with this OSMO Hard Wax oil. You can see the area close to where I'm standing is the untreated wood, and this part over here is the hard wax treated oak with which is still wet. It says in the instructions that you should do your strokes along the fibers. That will be in this direction, but in reality I've done this a couple of times now and I don't see any difference. It seems like this wax oil is completely absorbed into the wood, and it doesn't leave any marks from which direction you did your strokes. You do this treatment twice. You wait about 8 to 10 hours now after this first one is dry, and then you sand it down a little bit, because the fibers, the wood actually rise, and you can feel it if you pull your hand along the floor. And those ones you get rid of with a very fine sandpaper, and then you wax it one more time. And this is the OSMO version, which is, as you can see, it's called 3062. It's matte, because I want matte floors, I don't want shiny floors. Alright, now the entire floor is waxed. You can see it's still shiny because it hasn't dried yet, but this will come out as matte coating then. You can see that in some areas, like over here, the natural structure of the wood also comes out, and the hard wax oil is now being sucked into the wood. So this is after 4 hours. The shininess has disappeared as the oil and the wax mix has started to impregnate the wood. You can see now that, I can take from the bottom here, it's not uniformly colored yet, because in some areas, like up here in the center of this image here, you can see that there's a little bit left. Actually, it was probably a little bit too much put on that area. But it's not so sensitive. Everything is actually being sucked up properly, and as I mentioned before, it will be polished off one more time before we put the final layer. This is after sanding it down with a 240 paper, very fast. So a little bit of white dust comes off from the top coat of the hard wax that's been now sitting there for 12 hours. I'm going to vacuum up this and then apply the second coating layer. And now I have applied the second layer of hard wax on the floor. Now I waited 6 hours and all the wax oil has been sucked up and it's already dry. Inside here is about 23 degrees Celsius, and it is actually now dry enough so that we can walk on it. You can see all the grain of the wood has come out beautiful. It was 6 months ago since I hard waxed this floor, and I'm now going to see what it looks like when you put some water onto it. And here you see it still keeps the water from absorbing into the wood. So spilling something on this floor is not that bad, and it keeps a very nice and solid surface. And it becomes slightly darker with time, but not much. And here's the entire matte surface of the parquet floor.